Welcome, everyone. Welcome. We're live. Welcome to this Sunday.
We're live.
Sun-
Welcome to this Sunday.
We're live.
Welcome to this Sunday.
Okay, let's fix the audio for a moment.
Okay, let's fix the audio for a moment. Okay, let's fix the audio for a moment. Okay, let's fix the audio for a moment. Okay, let's fix the audio for a moment. Okay, let's fix the audio for a moment.
Can my team help me? By the
Can
way,
my
guys,
team
let me know in
help
the
me?
chat. Can you hear
By the
me
way, guys,
just
let me
once
know
or
in the chat.
multiple
Can you hear
times?
me?
Let me know in the chat. Let's fix this for a moment and dive right in. I have some amazing things to share with you today and answer your questions that you can put them in the chat. Okay. Remove the audio and put it back. That's a great suggestion if I knew how to do it. It's working now. Okay, can everyone hear me? Thank you for your patience. Awesome. Let's dive in. So if you can hear me well, if you can see me well, if you're excited, if this is a good Sunday for you, drop behind the chat, give me a wave. And if you have, of course, questions, any questions at all about quitting smoking, put them in the chat. Now, in the meantime, I want to share with you the 3 biggest myths about quitting smoking. Now, there are so many myths. That's true. But I want to share with you the 3 biggest ones that I see people struggling with all the time, horrible traps that I have fell into as a smoker. So if as I'm going through them, you think, wow, I have fallen into all these 3 traps, just know that you're not alone. And this is by design. Those traps are there by design. So the first myth of quitting smoking, and tell me if you can relate to this. If you can relate, type 1 in the chat. The first myth of quitting smoking is this: I need willpower to quit smoking. Who believes this? I need to have willpower to quit smoking, or I need to have more willpower to quit smoking. So we're in that cycle where we keep looking for more of the thing that we don't have. And we tell ourselves, I'm too addicted. I cannot quit smoking. If only I had more willpower. We say, I'm not strong enough. I'm not capable enough. I'm not disciplined enough. I don't want it enough, because if I really wanted to quit smoking, I would have done it. So we start doubting our intention and our desire to quit smoking, even though it's there. So I don't have enough willpower is a big one. But here's why this is a myth, because it's only fair to explain why, right? The thing with willpower is that willpower doesn't work because willpower doesn't last. Willpower is a finite source. It runs out. So even if you're someone who has tons of willpower, eventually your willpower will run out. It will let you down when you need it the most. And here's the thing: everyone can resist 1 cigarette with willpower, or 2 cigarettes, or 3 cigarettes with willpower, right? But can we spend our whole lives resisting every single craving that comes up? Of course not. That's not freedom. And that's why people who use willpower to quit smoking relapse. And it's not only that this ends in relapse, is that we suffer along the way. It feels bad. Willpower feels bad while we're using it. Because willpower is what? It is a state of resistance. It means that you want to smoke, you want to vape, you want to use nicotine, but you go against your desire. So you have the desire and you go against it. So it's a constant battle. That's why using willpower, it's a state of deprivation. And the problem with deprivation is that what you resist persists. So the more you use willpower to resist your cravings, the more you use willpower to suppress your desire for smoking, the more you want it. Because willpower makes vaping seem precious. And this increases our mental dependence to it because we want it more. Make sense? So have you ever felt like I don't have enough willpower to quit smoking? If you have, say me. I want to say so I can tell you what is the solution. Because you may have heard before that no, you shouldn't use willpower to quit smoking. You don't need willpower to quit smoking. Yes, but what should I do instead? What should I do instead? That's the question, right? Firas says, I went back to smoking during an extremely painful experience. I live in an environment surrounded by smokers. I am not able to do the sports that I enjoy, which helped me quit in the past. What do I do? So first of all, Firas, and let me know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, well done for quitting smoking. The fact that you were able to quit smoking, even for a short period of time, shows that you can do it. So take the win from this. So really well done for asking this question, because you're asking the right question. What do I need to do differently so I can maintain my quit and be successful? So I'm going to get back to that. So let me know about willpower. You too, Firas. Were you using willpower in that quit attempt? And to everyone watching, let me know in the chat. I wanna see you typing. This is a conversation. This is an interactive session. I want us to have fun together and interact with each other. So if you have ever used willpower, or if you have ever felt like I don't have enough willpower to quit smoking, or you've struggled with willpower, type me in the chat. I want to see. And I want you to be engaged during our time together, because science says that we remember more with active listening as opposed to just passive listening. So we don't want to do passive listening here. We want to do active listening. What does this mean? If I ask you a question, type your answer in the chat. If I ask you to repeat something, repeat it. If I share something you want to remember, type that nugget in the chat. Now, why do that? Because like I said, I want this to be in conversation, but really, you're doing this for you. So you will make the most out of our time together, and so that you will not just get information that you forget, but start creating your transformation. Yes? Okay. So let's play full out in this fine Sunday. Okay, let me see the comments. Fira says me, Brenda says me. Just me, great to see you. Me, it only lasted 2 days. Emiran says, I quit smoking by reading Alan Carr's book. I didn't smoke for 1 month, but started again when work got busy. I know that cigarettes don't benefit me, but I'm constantly in a low mood when I quit. And you are not alone in any of the things you shared. Jennifer says, I've done the program a couple of times and it definitely works, but for some reason I keep relapsing around the 90-day mark. How do I remain a non-vapor? Okay, let's talk about mood and the 90-day mark. So after we quit smoking, our brain starts healing its dopamine resources and starts regulating dopamine naturally. What this means is that we may experience some low moods, but the way to think about it is that low mood doesn't happen because we quit smoking. The low mood happens because we were addicted to nicotine. So it is smoking that causes that. Now, the mistake most people make is they just wait. They quit smoking and then they wait and hope that one day they're going to wake up and feel better. But it doesn't work like that. Like we actually learn in the program, we have to give our brain new ways to release dopamine. So the thing with the 90-day mark is that it takes around, science shows that it takes around 90 days for the dopamine pathways to heal in the brain. So that's why the 90-day mark tends to be a milestone for people. So the solution to that is not to think that I have something happens to me on the 90-day mark, but think, how can I increase my dopamine while I'm going through the first 90 days of quitting smoking, of being a non-smoker. And the program has all the tools for you to do that. But the paradigm shift I want you to start opening your mind and your heart to is that it's not quitting smoking that causes it. It's not a personal fault or a personal flaw. Is that we also need to give our brain new ways to release dopamine, because our brain doesn't have different dopamine pathways for nicotine and other things. So if we find healthy ways to release dopamine, this is going to work perfectly. The mistake most of us make, and I've done this mistake many, many times as well, is that we quit smoking and then we just wait to wake up one day feeling better. We have to make ourselves feel better and help our brain while it's healing its dopamine resources. Well, for me, I'm reading this comment. Well, for me, understanding it helped, not willpower, because willpower is usually used to resist something that you want. For me, it worked on hating it, smoking. Sharon says, I quit twice for several weeks. I'm afraid to fail again. By the way, your videos have helped me quit one time. Your videos are valuable. Thank you. It's been 20 days. It's been real. Congratulations. So here's the thing with willpower. Let's circle back to that. We said willpower doesn't work because willpower doesn't last. And also willpower feels bad because it means that we want to smoke, but we go against our desire. Now, the solution to that is what is called mind power. Mind power is using the power of your mind to not want to smoke. So instead of wanting to smoke and using your willpower to go against your desire, mind power is removing that desire. And we can remove the desire by changing how we think about smoking. And of course, then using specific techniques. Now, what's the difference between willpower and mind power? Imagine you are at the beach. And you're at the beach and you're holding a beach ball and you're on the sea. You went inside the sea, you're holding a beach ball and you're trying to push that beach ball underwater. And you're trying so hard. You're trying. You're pushing it down with all your strength, all your might. And maybe it's going to go underwater, the beach ball, but eventually what happens? Because of the pressure, the resistance, the ball will pop up in your face. Mind power is different. Mind power is taking a pin and deflating the ball so it's not an issue anymore. So mind power is the solution. And let me give you another example from our everyday life. Now, I always say we don't need willpower, but willpower is not all bad. Willpower is good to get us started on something, but we cannot change on willpower. For example, let's say I want to go to the gym. Maybe I need some willpower to get up from the couch and wear my running shoes, but I cannot become fit on willpower alone. So at some point, another force kicks in that makes me want to be fit and healthy. And that force is a way that mind power shows up. Or let's say maybe I need some willpower to open and watch a video. Fine. Watch a video about quitting smoking, watch a video about what healing happens to my body after quitting smoking. But I cannot be a non-smoker on willpower alone. I cannot spend my whole life resisting that cigarette. And that's why mind power is the most important skill one can learn while quitting smoking. And it's a skill that stays with you for life. Once you get it, you have it. You got it forever. It's a skill for life. So very well worth developing and being patient with yourselves while you're learning what mind power is all about. The best mind power technique, Jennifer, and this will come with a warning because that's another trap. The best mind power technique is the passing cars technique that I share in the CBQ Quit Smoking program. But, and that's where the warning comes, mind power techniques alone, craving techniques alone, they don't work without us having the foundation. It's like buying a beautiful home, wanting to fix it, make it amazing, put the new furniture, renovate it. And instead of putting the foundation in that home, we go and fix the windows. Without the foundation, the windows will crumble. The same way, a technique is an external thing, is a superficial thing that will work only if the foundation is there. What is the foundation? To change our relationship with nicotine, to stop seeing nicotine as something that adds value to our lives. So that's the psychological addiction, and also reverse our behavioral associations with it. So cognitive and behavioral. When that foundation is there, then techniques work. Then any technique will work. You just have to choose which one you like best. But if the foundation is not there, no technique will work, because it's like doing something momentary, but you still deep down want to smoke. So you're only delaying the inevitable. Very, very important. That's why every time in the program or even the YouTube channel, people ask for techniques. This is a big mistake. The foundation has to be there. For example, think about a stress management technique. If I use a stress management technique to relax and not smoke, this won't work, at least not consistently, if I still maintain the belief that smoking helps me calm down. So it's like using something, treating the symptom and not the problem. Think about it like this. Let's say that I have a virus. Okay, I caught a virus and I'm sick and I have some symptoms. I have headache and I'm tired and I have a fever and I'm shaky and I have all these symptoms. Do I want to treat the symptoms or do I want to treat the problem? Yes, I can treat the symptoms, but if I don't treat the problem, the symptoms, what happens to them? They reappear in different forms. So that's why techniques work only when the foundation is there. I know I'm taking time to explain this, but it's that much important, and that's why I'm doing that. You're very welcome. Firas, the recording will be on our YouTube channel, so you can watch it as many times as you want. Not a problem at all. So the second myth about quitting smoking, can you guess what it is? Let me know in the chat. What do you think is another big myth about quitting smoking? I'm gonna tell you, it's not a pop quiz. I will tell you the answer, but I want you to think about it first from your own experiences. That is hard. That's not the one I had in my mind, but that's definitely a big one. Like we said before, there are so many myths about quitting smoking. So let's talk about this, that it's hard. We believe that quitting smoking is hard. Why? Because of our own experiences. This belief that it's hard didn't come out of nowhere. It came from our own experiences. It came from the experiences of people we know, because we all know someone who says, I quit smoking with willpower 30 years ago and I want it every day and I say no. So we have that misconception that we're supposed to live like this. And also that limiting belief, because that's what it is, comes from the tobacco industry and even our governments. Because what do they tell us? They tell us quitting smoking is hard. That's why if you want to be successful, you need those pills. You need those nicotine gums. You need those nicotine patches. Otherwise, you're going to feel off and you're going to be on edge and you're going to lash out and ruin your life. So we have that fundamental belief that's perpetuated from our experiences, from our society, from our conditioning, that we need nicotine to survive. And without it, things are going to be hard and horrible. And what happens when we have those limiting beliefs? They become self-fulfilling prophecies. Because if I believe that quitting smoking is going to be hard, then that's exactly the reality I'm going to experience. So every time, and because I train quit smoking coaches, A lot of quit smoking coaches that were previously working for the healthcare system, they come with that misconception that when you have someone like a client who wants to quit smoking, you have to empathize and tell them, yes, it is hard, but you can do it. And I tell them, no, that's a big mistake. We never actually say quitting smoking is hard, because when you say quitting smoking is hard to someone else, and I'm sharing that so because that's exactly what we tell ourselves, you're entering their own frustrating reality, their own trap. Quitting smoking is not hard. The answer is, how do we make it easy? If people around us, if there are success stories, and in this program there are so many success stories, thousands, that quitting smoking is easy, then the answer is, how can I let myself find it easy as well? Because the possibility is there. And especially when there are success stories from people from all ages, all types and frequencies of nicotine addiction, all walks of life, we know that it is possible. And a big limitation that we have, and tell me if you can relate to this, we have the belief that, and that's a very destructive belief, that I will be the exception. That I will be the exception. All these people can do it, but I can't. Because fill in the gaps. There's always a reason why we justify this to ourselves. I will be the exception. But if we enter our quit or any effort believing we're going to be the exception, then the only thing that's going to happen is confirm that belief. Because our beliefs are like magnets. We learned about that in the program on day 6 as well. Beliefs are like magnets. They attract evidence that confirms them, and they repel evidence that contradicts them. So that's why we end up creating self-fulfilling prophecies and really living the beliefs that, even though we don't want them to be true, we do live those beliefs because that's exactly the spell we've put on ourselves. Now, about failure. Let's talk about fear of failure, because I saw a comment earlier. And self-fulfilling beliefs play a big, huge role in that as well. Because when I enter the quit smoking process with the belief that it's going to be hard, I am going to gain weight, I will be the exception, and on 90 days I'm going to fail, then what happens is that we don't give it our best shot. Now, why don't we give it our best shot? Because by not giving it our all, by not doing our absolute best, this keeps the option, the hope, the dream of being successful. It keeps it alive. When we don't give our all, we keep the hope of success alive, because psychologically, we believe that if we do our best and fail, then there would be no hope left. Does that make sense? And it's not making logical sense, but this is exactly how the psychology of the fear of failure works. So by not giving it our all, then at least we can tell ourselves, well, at least I didn't give it my best. So that's how we protect our ego and our identity. But of course, by protecting ourselves from failure that doesn't feel good, we also protect ourselves from success. So the only way to succeed is to give it our all and really say, I'm going to do this, not to quit smoking, I'm going to do this for me, because I am tired of living with this thorn on my side, because I am tired of promising myself that I'm going to quit smoking and then lighting up. And we all know here in this group, in this room, that the first cigarette after a relapse gives us all the relief, and instantly that relief turns into regret and sometimes disgust even. And we're like, is that what I was longing for, that horrible feeling of feeling dizzy and guilty and like a failure? Of course not, because we never miss the cigarette. We miss what we think it makes us feel. Nobody wants to inhale ammonia and acetone and benzene and all those chemicals. What we want is to feel a certain way. And we have trained ourselves over decades that the only way to get that feeling is through a cigarette. But is really the only way to get that feeling through a cigarette? Nope. So all we have to do is give ourselves a chance to learn new ways to cope and really do our best. Not because the doctor said so, not because I have a health problem, not because my family asked me. All those reasons are very, very important. Don't get me wrong. But nothing is more powerful than doing it for you, because I am the kind of person that doesn't want to live like this. I am the kind of person that I don't want to reach the end of my life and have quitting smoking as the one thing I didn't get to do. Not that long ago, I heard this and it stayed with me forever. And I use that every time I find myself in any area of my life feeling kind of demotivated or like losing myself. And it's this: I imagine that I have just died and I meet my maker. And in that moment, God shows me a movie of everything I could have been, everything I could have done, all my unlived potential, all the goals that didn't achieve but wanted to. And that always scares me and shocks me and brings me back to reality. So if you're here watching this, typing here, asking questions, you want to be free. It's not something you have to do. Maybe there is some have to, but you want it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. You could be doing literally anything else right now, but you chose to be here, which means you want this. You are taking action. You are on the right path. And all of us, especially when we're addicted to anything, we are of two minds. Can you relate to that? We are of two minds. There is the addicted you and the real you. And those two parts of you, they're battling each other nonstop. The addicted you says, you need a cigarette right now. You need a cigarette with your coffee. If you don't smoke, you're going to feel horrible all day. If you don't smoke, you're going to lash out, ruin all your relationships, get fired, and be all alone. The addicted self catastrophizes, and the real self says, you want to be free. You shouldn't be doing this to yourself. I don't like how smoking makes me feel. So those two minds are battling with each other nonstop. And that's normal. That's part of being an addict, even a nicotine addict. It's there, that conflict. So every time that the addicted you gets loud and tries to convince you, oh, you don't really want to quit. Just focus on the real you. And here's why I'm telling you this. Because the real you is the part of you that brought you here. So you have to listen to that voice, because that voice will lead you to freedom. When we listen to the addicted voice all the time and we identify with it, it leads us to one place. What is that place? Back to addiction. By the way, right, Jennifer, are you, and for everyone else who is a member, are you aware of our Q&A group coaching calls that I'm doing with our members every Wednesday? If not, I highly recommend attending those. They're going to show you exactly what was missing, exactly what to do differently. They're amazing, like-minded people, supportive environment, and it's there to serve you and make the most out of this experience. So send us an email at support@cibicmethod.com so I can get you to our next Q&A call, okay? Andy, welcome, Andy. Great to see you. Andy says, wise words, listen carefully. Andy, great to see you. Andy is a CBQ Quit Smoking Program member who is 4 years smoke-free now, or 5. And we also have an amazing Ask an X interview with Andy that you can watch on this YouTube channel. 5. I thought 4 was not right. 5. 5 years smoke-free. And Andy, if I can share your story for a moment, Andy smoked his first cigarette when he was 8 to 10 years old. His dad was giving him a note so he can buy cigarettes for his dad. And soon enough, Andy and his friends started creating their own notes and started buying cigarettes. Is that right, Andy? I remember correctly. So many decades of addiction, but Andy showed up for himself in this program and truly made the most out of this experience. And now 5 years, a happy non-smoker, not a deprived ex-smoker, a happy non-smoker. Andy, do you have a quick tip or advice for anyone who is stuck and feels like I'm always going to fail and things will never work out for me? And it definitely works. Yeah. It cannot not work with all these amazing success stories, but you have to show up for yourself. And his advice is stay the course. You can and you will do it. I love it. Nice and simple and empowering. Because we get in our own way, right? And we know that from in all areas of our lives, we get in our own way. But when something works, we have to show up for ourselves and say, I'm going to do my best. And we know when we're doing our best. So trust, that's empowering. Trust that this works and this can work for you too. Andy, thank you so much. Fabiso Camila says, thank you very much for everything. I've quit smoking March 2023 after smoking since 2017. Way to go. Way to go. And what a great decision. What a great decision. Congratulations. Confidence goes up when you quit, to be honest. 100%. It's one of the not so talked about benefits of quitting smoking because yes, our finances improved dramatically. One of our members, he shared, who's also 5 years smoke free, he shared in our community that he has saved $20,000 since quitting smoking 5 years ago and has avoided 55,000 cigarettes. So the healing part, the financial wealth, the health wealth, this is amazing, but also the mental wealth. It's something incredible. It's one of the best things that happen after quitting smoking. Our confidence increases. And it increases only when we're not deprived, of course, but when we're truly free, when we no longer see value in smoking and we've broken the habit, then we get an amazing source of confidence because this confidence comes from doing something we once thought impossible. And that type of confidence, why is it amazing? Because it's something nobody can give you, only you can give to yourself. And as a result of that, nobody can take away from you. So no matter what happens in your life, you have always this point of reference that I can do impossible things. You break your own ceiling of what's possible. And of course, the external confidence matters as well because our skin improves, our teeth get whiter, we look more youthful because just 1 month, science shows that just 1 month after quitting smoking, our skin starts producing more collagen and that makes it look more youthful. How amazing is that? So everything improves after quitting smoking if we let it. Okay, let me see some more comments. Zan says, hi Nasia, do you have advice for highly sensitive people who are struggling to quit? Yes. The process of quitting smoking is the same. I think this is important to understand because I don't know if you were here earlier. I was saying that we all fall into a mental trap that we say, I am the exception. And this is only hurting us. And we say, I am the exception because I've been smoking for 50 years. I am the exception because I live with other smokers. I am the exception because I have depression and anxiety. I am the exception because I'm a highly sensitive person. So before I give you the advice, I think we have to put the foundation that the process of quitting smoking is the same and that this success that you're seeing all around is accessible for you as well. Now, my question to you is why specifically being a highly sensitive person is preventing you from quitting smoking? Is it emotional management? Is it your surrounding environment? What is it specifically? We have to get specific. So let me know in the chat. Andy says, don't forget about all the other health issues, time and money that comes with smoking. Yes, smoking is expensive and not just financially, in every way. It's killing our confidence, our mental health, our health, even our relationships. Even when we socialize with other smokers and we think, if I quit smoking, I'm not going to be able to socialize. The truth is that we're able to socialize better as non-smokers, whether we socialize with other non-smokers or smokers. Why? Because we show up differently in those situations. We show up as someone, and we don't have to say it, it shows. We show up as someone who feels good about themselves, and that is oozing through us. So quitting smoking also improves our social wealth. Jennifer asks, is it normal for the old programming of your brain to resurface at times? Yes and no. This is a great question. Part of the CBQ program is to remove that old program mentally and behaviorally. And part of stage 4 is to really replace that program with a new one. So sometimes when we forget that final step, and tell me if you can relate to that old program resurfaces. So the whole process has to be completed. But here's what else I'm going to say. If from time to time a thought of smoking comes to our mind, that's not a problem. Thinking about smoking is not a problem. It's how we think about it that matters. So if, let's say, I quit smoking last month and today I'm going to experience a new situation as a non-smoker, something I used to do as a smoker. Let's say I am meeting for the first time my best friend, and we always used to smoke together, and it's my first time experiencing that relationship as a non-smoker. In that moment, it's normal for the thought of smoking that comes to our mind. But if we see it as a memory of what our past self used to do and doesn't anymore because you don't want to, then the thought will go away. But if we see that thought as something that makes us feel deprived and miserable and we're missing out, this is not really the old programming resurfacing. This is really the old programming that was never actually dealt with. So, recap, because that's a very important question. If you have a smoking memory and you're able to tell yourself, oh, this is something the past version of myself used to do and I don't do that anymore, then you're good. It's just a memory. It's gone in a second. And it feels good actually having it. But if you start feeling deprived and you start having thoughts of how much you would like to smoke, and you start picturing yourself smoking a cigarette, feeling relief, thinking of asking just one cigarette, then this is more often a sign that the program was never addressed in the first place. Zan says, yes, emotional management and getting anxious easily, sometimes getting down easily. So it's great you recognize this. Again, the solution is to remove the smoking program from your mind, because it is not our emotions that cause us to smoke. It is the belief that smoking helps us with those emotions. So unless that belief, that old programming goes away, unless we stop seeing smoking as something that adds value to our lives, what does that mean? That it helps us feel better, that it helps us relax. Unless that belief is gone, then nothing else will work. So I want to point you in the right direction, that it is not the emotions. It is the belief that smoking helps. Because you're always going to experience those emotions so intensely, especially when you're a highly sensitive person. So you cannot wait for your whole personality to change so you can quit smoking. There is an easier way, which is to remove that programming. Alan, welcome, Alan. Alan says, I generally sleep well, but if I have a poor night's sleep, I relapse, and it's usually so frustrating. Why? Again, I would invite you to ask why. Why is it a poor night's sleep enough to sabotage your entire health and future? What is it about it? Is it really the reason, the poor night's sleep? Or is it a valid justification? And this is a question to ask yourself, and you will know the answer to that question. What I can tell you for sure is that you cannot wait to have perfect sleep every day so you will remain smoke-free. So what this tells me is that something inside of you, like your addicted self, that we all have that addicted self, something inside of you is trying to find reasons for you to keep on smoking. So we start from the beginning. Why do you want to be free? Why are you here? This is a big thing, being here. Why do you want to be free? Why is this important to you? What would you love about being free from addiction? Start with your why. And that why cannot be, oh, because I have to, because nobody wants to just do the things because they have to. That's has no desire, no motivation there. But really open your mind, open your heart to this question. What would I love about being free from addiction? About not having smoking dictate when I can relax, when I can feel complete, how I can end my days, how many hours I can travel. If I have to go out in the freezing cold or crack the window in the freezing cold to smoke a cigarette, like really have freedom. So first we start with the belief, and then we go on and fix the techniques and the tools. So the belief, that programming has to be addressed first. When we address that, then we go on and fix our environment to the best of our ability so it can be favorable. So if I know that I'm not sleeping well and that this is messing me up in the next day, I have a sleeping routine. It doesn't have to be an hour routine, but 10 minutes before you fall asleep, feed your mind with good thoughts. I think in the Buddhist tradition, and I may be wrong about that, they have a technique that they call it sleeping on a bed of merit. What does this mean? Before we fall asleep, we want to feed our mind with good things. Like, what did I do today that I'm happy about? What is something I achieved today that I'm proud of? What is a happy moment that I experienced today, no matter how big or small? Having that state of mind before we fall asleep helps us sleep better. Because what most of us do, and I know it because I used to do that as well, we fall asleep thinking about all the stressful things and that happened during our day that are going to happen the next day, and those things run and run and run through our mind. So of course we don't sleep well. So one is our mental state, our mental environment before we fall asleep, and the second thing is our physical environment. Maybe have some soothing music, have a stable sleep schedule. What was life-changing for me, Alan, was getting a device that tracks my sleep. And I'm sure there are many out there, but when I started, it's something you put under your bed and it tracks your sleep cycle, how deep is your sleep, how many times you wake up, advice so you can sleep better. So if sleep is such a big issue, really address it. Don't let it be an obstacle. But of course, nothing is a substitute for addressing the underlying connection with smoking. You're welcome. Mr. Unknown, hey, I'm from Kashmir and I like your content. I'm really glad to hear that. And welcome. Sharon, you asked the question that I missed. Okay, how important is setting a date? Setting a date, and that's another great question. It's important only if you have overcome the mental addiction. Here's what I mean by that, and I have a video about that as well. A mistake we make, and I've made that mistake many times, and after a decade of helping in person thousands and thousands of smokers, I've seen that mistake again and again and again, and it's this. We set the quit date, and then we either hope that the number on that date is special enough that is going to motivate us to quit, or we set the quit date and we think that on that day we're going to somehow transform as a non-smoker. And what happens? When we're deprived, we chain smoke the days before because we feel deprived in advance, because we haven't removed our mental programming, and then we either relapse or we postpone our quit date indefinitely. And here's why. And actually, that was the third myth I wanted to talk about, Sharon. So thank you for asking that, which is the third myth that we just quit. We just quit. That quitting smoking is about quitting smoking. And when we have that myth and we live with that myth, we think that the quit date is going to make us transform, but it doesn't. The transformation happens before our quit date. And if that transformation happens, any date will be enough. For example, think about it like this. Think about the caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. It doesn't happen overnight, does it? First, the caterpillar has the cocoon, the safe space where it transforms, it creates its transformation. Then it comes out of the cocoon and it's a butterfly. So the moment the caterpillar comes out of the cocoon is the visible moment of change. But the transformation happens when? Before, in the cocoon, in the safe space of preparation. Same way. Transformation in our habits is the same way transformation happens in nature. Same way with quitting smoking. The quit date is the visible moment of change. But the transformation does not happen on our quit date. It happens before. So with that in mind, the quit date doesn't matter. What matters is the preparation. Even in our program, a lot of our members, because our program is 12 days, and you quit smoking on day 10. So up until day 10, you prepare. But the important thing is the preparation, not the quit date. That's why sometimes our members, they feel ready to quit smoking before day 10, and they do that. Sometimes they want to extend the quit date so they can prepare better. They do that because it's about the preparation, not about the date. Make sense? Let me see if I missed other questions. You're welcome. That was a great question. And for everyone who wants to learn more about the CBQ method and how quitting smoking works, I'm running a free quit smoking masterclass where I talk about the CBQ method and I talk about the 3 quit smoking secrets that Big Tobacco doesn't want smokers to know. And they're secrets not because you're not supposed to know them. It's because Big Tobacco, and I'm saying that with great caution, Big Tobacco, they go at great lengths for smokers to not find those secrets. But once you know those 3 secrets, all the tricks of big tobacco, they will just not work on you anymore, and you will be able to quit. So very, very, very important, especially if you have been feeling stuck and like you don't know what is the next step to take. This masterclass is going to be extremely helpful for you. So if you're interested in that, go to cbqwebinar.com so you can see our upcoming masterclasses and register. It's a must, this masterclass, and it's amazing. Yes, yes, thank you for sharing. I wanted my granddaughter's birthday and I quit and it didn't stick. Yes. Yes, that happens all the time. You're not alone. A few years back, the date was 2/22/2022. And I cannot tell you how many people chose that day as their quit date because it's a nice date. It's a nice date, right? And I see that all the time. We choose the date. Why? Because we hope, even unconsciously, we hope that the importance or significance or beauty of that date is going to carry some of the burden and carry and alleviate some of the angst we have around quitting smoking. But that is a fallacy. Sure, some people quit on meaningful dates only when they've done the preparation first. For example, our member Kay Cooney, she also has an Ask an X interview like Andre there on our YouTube channel. Highly recommend, very, very inspiring. Kay chose a very important to her quit date, but she didn't just wait for that date to come and quit smoking because that doesn't work. She first did the preparation. She did our quit smoking program. So by the time the date came, she was ready, and she's been smoke-free for, I believe, 4 years now. So incredible. So it's the preparation, the caterpillar, the cocoon. It sounds like you're advising smokers to quit cold turkey. Did I understand that correctly? No, that's not what I'm advising. But this opens the door for another great trap that we can avoid. Going cold turkey or cutting down gradually, these are not quit smoking methods. These are just different ways for us to remove nicotine from our body. That's it. That's it. So you can go cold turkey, but if you're mentally addicted and behaviorally addicted, you're going to suffer and relapse. Or you can cut down on your smoking gradually and every day smoke 1 less cigarette until you're down to 2 cigarettes a day. But if you're mentally addicted and behaviorally addicted, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to go down to 0 cigarettes and then relapse, or you're not going to be able to let go of those 2 cigarettes. So cold turkey or cutting down, they're just different ways to remove nicotine from your body. It's not any way to quit smoking. That's why people struggle. The only way to quit smoking is to change your program that tells you need a cigarette after a meal, that tells you need a cigarette to feel normal, that tells you need a cigarette because once a smoker, always a smoker, and it's part of my DNA and my identity, and I need it when I'm bored and I cannot socialize without it. Those things don't go away, whether we do cold turkey or cutting down. Those things go away when we do our cognitive behavioral reprogramming. So when you do that, when you change how you think about smoking, when you break the habit, when you reprogram your mind and habits, you can either go cold turkey or you can cut down gradually and be successful. Because the program, really the addiction is gone. So no, I'm not advising cold turkey. I'm advising to do the real thing, which is to overcome the mental addiction and break the habit. If someone wants to go cold turkey after that, not a problem. If someone wants to cut down gradually while reprogramming their mind, which is what we do in the CBQ Quit Smoking program, they can do that. But the cutting down or the cold turkey, it is not the solution. It's not going to magically take away the addiction. But great question for everyone else as well, for us. Do you have any other questions? The time flew by like that, right? So let me know in any final questions. And I want to share with you a quote I read yesterday that I loved it and I want to share it with you. Can I? So it said, imagine reading a book with no way to turn back a page. How carefully would you read it? How carefully would you read the book if you couldn't turn back the previous page? Life is the same way. Live your life as if you cannot turn back, because you can't. So, whether we're struggling in life, we're having our stresses, we're having our low moods, we're having our struggles, we're having all those things that are part of life. If we take a step back and really view life as something precious that we can never turn the page back, it allows us a little bit to appreciate everything that's happening, even if it's not our favorite thing. What I teach our members in our Q&A calls is, in our wellness masterclass membership, is radical acceptance. And it's this. Radical acceptance is, I accept that something is happening, and how can I be okay even while the thing that I don't want to be happening is happening? So having that radical acceptance, how can I be okay? How can I be successful in quitting smoking even if I don't have perfect sleep? And I know this is a trigger for me. How can I find my freedom even if I'm a highly sensitive person? How can I be successful even if I know I am prone to low moods? So radical acceptance about who we are and what are our sensitivities. And then from that place of acceptance, that very, very powerful place, find the solution and succeed. Anne says, thank you for doing this. You're very, very welcome. And asks, do you recommend patches? Oh, Lord, no. I don't recommend nicotine patches. And here is why. Nicotine patches, and I've tried nicotine patches, I've tried nicotine gums, all those things. And at first glance, when I first tried them, I thought, wow, this is a great thing. At least I'm not hurting my lungs. It's a great alternative. But here's what I found the hard way, and what I have spent the last decade helping people overcome. Nicotine substitutes are just keeping the physical addiction alive, but also the mental addiction that we need nicotine to survive and feel normal, and the behavioral addiction, because quickly, every single activity in our day has to be followed by, remember to stick that patch or the gum or whatever the source of nicotine. So the problem is that we either stay addicted on those nicotine substitutes because we're taking more of the thing we're addicted to. And when we're nicotine addicts, we cannot take more of nicotine and somehow want it less. Does it make sense? So we either stay addicted to those nicotine products, and I cannot tell you how many times our members have stayed addicted to nicotine gums, nicotine patches, nicotine spray for decades. For decades. So we either stay addicted to those nicotine products, or what is more frequently happening, we relapse back to smoking, because all this time we have remained physically, mentally, and behaviorally addicted. Also, most importantly, taking a nicotine patch does nothing for my relationship with smoking, does nothing to change my belief that I need cigarettes to feel normal, does nothing for me to make me believe that I don't feel empty when I don't have a cigarette. Taking a nicotine patch doesn't make my hands feel less empty. Taking a nicotine patch doesn't do anything for my oral fixation. Taking a nicotine patch doesn't make me feel empty when I'm bored or when I'm socializing. All those things are the psychological and behavioral addiction. That's why nicotine patches, not only they don't work, they don't solve the real problem, but can also distract us by being focused on the physical addiction. So if you want to understand more about the cognitive and the behavioral addiction and how the CBQ methodology works and how it can help you and see if it's right for you, make sure you register for my upcoming Quit Smoking Masterclass. We're going to talk about the 3 quit smoking secrets that big tobacco doesn't want you to know. So we're going to talk about nicotine substitutes, and you're going to see the whole thing that's happening behind the recommendation of those products and really how that works, I highly recommend registering. It's a great masterclass, and it's the next step if you want to quit smoking and truly be free. So go to cbqwebinar.com to register. My team will share the link, and let me see any final questions or comments. So from your experience, what is the biggest cause of addiction, and how does one identify it to overcome it? The biggest cause of addiction, it's not just our psychology, because what makes us addicted is trying the first cigarette. That's what initiates the addiction. What keeps us addicted is creating the smoker's identity, creating associations with cigarettes, and starting to rely on cigarettes to cope. So I wouldn't really worry about what is the cause of the addiction, what started it, but I would really, really think, why do I hold on to this? What is it offering me? The answers to this question, what do I get from it? There are some things you hate about it, and there are some things you get from it. So recognizing, making a list of the things you get from it is going to open the way for you to understand your own mental addiction and therefore rewire it and break free. Fabiso says, the one thing I learned from watching your content that helped me quit successfully is that it's all in the mind. Once I overcame that hurdle, it was smooth sailing. Perfectly said, and huge congratulations. That's it. I quit smoking 1st of May this year. I watched some of your videos too when I was quitting. Amazing and huge congratulations. Hi, Nasia, can I quit smoking without taking the program? I want to quit by watching only your videos. Here's the thing. My videos are motivation, awareness, tips, but the program is the process. So the videos are information, while my quit smoking program is the transformation. It's the whole system step by step. So I wouldn't say, it wouldn't be fair to say you can watch my free videos or do the program, because it's just not the same thing. Yes, everything I'm doing here on this YouTube channel, which is the very first step of change, of transformation, is to create the belief that it's possible, to inspire, to educate about misconceptions. But the doing of it, to know that you have completed each quit smoking stage, to have coping strategies, to be in a supportive environment, to have access to help, to have a real scientific process that's tested, proven, vetted. This is the program, and there is no substitute for it. So that's why those things are different. You're very, very welcome. Okay, that's it, everyone. I hope you had fun. I hope you benefited. I hope this was a moment that you can take with you during your day, during your week, and make a different choice for yourself. I am rooting for you. I look forward to hearing about your success stories. And if you join the Quit Smoking Masterclass at cbqwebinar.com and you're there, let me know hi, and let me know you joined from this live. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.